Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. First of all, I just want to thank you lot for being really patient. I haven't been able to make any videos for obviously the last week. Had COVID, been in isolation. This is for 10 days. This is my first day out, myself and my family. We've all been not very well. Really unpleasant thing, guys. So if you haven't had it already, stay safe, stick to the guidelines. You don't want that, it's really nasty. But as I say, I just want to thank you for being patient. I'm really glad to be back. We're really busy, so I just want to have a little catch up with you guys. The Cosworth, as you can see, all back together. This is the Cosworth. Obviously, we've had all the trouble with tuning and what have you. This is the 4th time it's been built now. So fingers crossed, it's the last time it's going to be built. You know, I cannot explain how much I've been careful with this engine. Not that it was our fault before, but I want this thing to be perfect. And as I say, it's the last time I want to see this thing out of the car. And obviously, so does the customer. Just very quickly, I'd like to thank all you guys for commenting underneath the videos. Now, when I first did the first video about this engine, I did notice 3 or 4 of the comments were sort of, I suppose, negative. Not that I take any of your comments negative. Even the negative ones I take as constructive criticism, and I do take note of it. You know, there's things sometimes that you don't notice that the customers or the viewers might see. So I always take note of it and I learn from it. And if there's anything we can change that you guys think that's, you know, not good enough, or other people will see that we don't, then as I say, I will take note of that. One of the things I did have sort of 3 or 4 comments about was the cleanliness of the workshop. As you can see, temporarily, we've got some clean card out there. What you've got to bear in mind, guys, is probably 3 or 4 years ago, and obviously prior to that, we were doing more sort of mainstream garage repair work. You know, obviously we was doing the motorsport engines and the classic engines, but at that time, you see, probably only had 2 or 3 actual engine builds on the go at one time. It was a lot of cylinder heads and things like that, you know. So it's only since I bought the company just over 5 years ago now, I wanted to turn it around and focus more on the competition and the classic engines, as opposed to the sort of, I suppose, run-of-the-mill repair work as such. And it's really took off. You know, I can't thank you customers enough for, you know, having faith in us and what have you. And I think that we do a really good job, and very rarely, apart from the, you know, the warranty videos that I do, it's very rare we hear anything back. But having said that, I understand now, and as I say, I've read some of these comments and I have sort of watched the videos back, and I can see that I suppose we're a bit old school, really. I was obviously brought up by the older generation in this game, in engineering and the engine building. And as I say, we're a bit old school. Probably don't notice the dirty paint, the dirty floor, and this, that, the other, and you sort of get used to the way you work. I can assure you that all the engines we build are cleaned within an inch of their life. None of them go back together with any sort of contamination, dirt or anything like that. You know, but I do also understand now that particularly the younger generation, it's all about, you know, the show, the front, the cleanliness, and it just looks better, I suppose. So we would just like to thank you for those comments, and we are going to take them on board. We're going to have a good sort out, because to be honest with you, because we've been so busy, we haven't really had time to have a really good clear out of the workshop and a sort of change around. We've almost sort of, you know, if you have a look around the workshop, we almost run out of room, really, because, you know, as I said to you before, a lot of engine builders farm their work out, you know, the machining, they just do the building. So, but because we've got a full machine shop, You know, we do everything in-house here. Obviously, the machines take up quite a lot of room. And not only that, but now we've always got a car on our ramp. We didn't have a ramp before. We've always got a car on the ramp where we're either taking the engine out or working on the engine in situ. So that obviously takes up room. So really, we could sort of do with a bigger workshop. But having said that, I think if we have a good tidy up, I actually hired a skip today. We got that delivered, so we're going to chuck out a load of rubbish. We're going to paint the walls. We're going to have some new racking. We're going to have some new tables. I'm going to make a good clean engine build area, and we're going to make a specific sort of cleaning and blasting area, and then keep the machine shop sort of separate from all that. Just so it looks better more than anything. So I'd just like to thank you guys for that. Back to the Cosworth. Cosworth's all together. So only thing different that we've done this time, we've got different cams. Before we had a standard exhaust cam, BD16 inlet cam, which is probably, I'd say, very slightly probably too big compared to the exhaust. Could have probably either done with a 14 exhaust or go slightly smaller on the inlet. So that's exactly what we've done there. We've kept a standard exhaust cam this time, gone a 14 inlet cam to get some more air in there, hold it in with a smaller exhaust, running a standard compression ratio. So that's the thing we've changed there. Obviously, we've got a ported head. Running the different pistons this time, we've got the Marla standard pistons. Not that there was anything wrong with the other pistons, it's just that we wanted to go back to basics, use that piston, and I've modified the crown to get that compression ratio as it was standard, because obviously these heads have had a bit chomped off in the time. I've got my own valve pockets in the pistons. We've put as I said to you before, we've got the oil spray jets in the bottom of the block this time, as opposed to the Heath Robinson spray jet rail off the standard oil pump. So we've done that. Anything else? No, I think that's it. And then generally just, you know, made sure it's all as good as new again. So that's ready for the customer to pick up. Hopefully everything's going to be hunky-dory there. We've got the other Cosworth still on the go, still waiting for parts. We've got the sump there. We're waiting for the front seal cover here, and obviously the cover for the auxiliary jack shaft there, water pump, cam bout and all that. So we're still waiting on parts for this, because obviously I've said before, this engine, we didn't have a donor, so I've managed to buy bits as we're going along, and again, sort of pointed the customer in the right direction as to what to order. So this is a very slow progress, but we're getting there. We've got the basic engine now. Got the M3 E30 engine that's already complete under here. Back to as it should be. Looking fairly trick. Now this is going in a restored car. The car's a shell at the moment, nothing else, but I'm sure that's going to look absolutely fantastic when it's done and sound awesome with a nice carbon airbox on it. Here we've got, same customer, these two engines. This is an E46 M3 engine. This is going in a out-and-out track car. The guy does, he does Nürburg and stuff like that. So we've gone high compression forged pistons on this, H-section Manley rods. We've got two reground high lift camshafts that we've had done on a standard head with different valve springs. So this is going to be, as I say, with the higher compression, this thing's going to be proper trick when it's done. Looking forward to getting that done. The only thing we were waiting on the pistons. We've got those now. We've got the con rods down there, which are the old con rods. Nothing wrong with them at all, but before it had spun a big end bearing. So we are going to have a look at the tired rod. If so, resize that rod and then balance all the rods to suit. Make sure all them are hunky-dory, and it's a case of building this. So that's next on the list. We have a series engine to be done. That's come in today or yesterday. That came in along with this is a new customer actually. This a a restoration company. We've got this A-series here, which we've got to strip the bottom end. This engine was actually done about 1,000 miles ago, he said, but whoever did it beforehand never faced the block. Can never understand that. So we've got to strip this out completely, make sure everything is hunky-dory, reface the cylinder block, check the bores and what have you, and we've got to build that back up with he's actually given us 2 cylinder heads. We've had to pick the best out of the 2 and do an unleaded conversion. So we're in the process of doing the unleaded conversion on that, and we're going to give it liquor paint, obviously, and build this into a tall engine. Over here we have a Triumph Stag. Ground the crankshafts, gone through the cylinder heads. That block there is in the process of being rebored, and we've got to build that engine. So that's another one. We've got various cylinder heads and cranks and what have you all over the place. We have got MG Midget down there. That's from the same company as the A-series engines. That's another one there that we've quoted today, got the go-ahead, so we've got to go ahead and strip that. Got the cylinder head up there to do, so that's a complete go-through, complete overhaul. Got to look like new, obviously, at the end of it. Up on the ramp, not sure whether I've showed you this before, but this is an Audi A5. It's got RS5 front bumper and stuff like that, but it's got the 2-litre TFSI, mounted longitude. Got to do a forge build on that, so it's not a complete build, but it's obviously a cylinder head off. We're going to go through the head, make sure all that's good. We're going to take the engine out because it's easier to work on with the engine out. You've got the subframe there, which makes everything a nightmare. So we're going to pull the lump, head off, sump off, pistons and rods out, exchange the pistons and rods, providing that the bores are perfect. We're going to swap them pistons and rods for forge pistons, H-section con rods. It's a typical, engine forging, which we've done quite a lot on these Volkswagen engines, really. The Volkswagens, Audis, Seats, all similar. This seems to be a thing with these. We'll do that, put it together with some competition crank bearings, obviously make sure everything's good. We're going to send the turbo off to our guy and get that hybrided. I think the lad wants to see 450 horsepower eventually, so we've got to make sure the engine's all good for that. So that's next on the list. Obviously, work in progress. Kit car. Have I showed you the kit car? There is our kit car, looking a bit like a space frame with an engine in it at the moment. Gone way further with this than we wanted to originally, but as I say, I've showed you the video before, but you know the reasons why. The back was all falling to bits, a little bit like a death trap. So the roll cage is all welded up now. We sent that off to be powder coated gloss black. All the back is braced up in the various areas it was weak. Got a little bit more bracing to do there. The diff is over there. That's all rebuilt, the Sierra diff. We're going to have a good old jiggery pokery with the dashboard. We're going to do away with all the crap on there that doesn't work or doesn't look very good. We're going to just have the one set of clocks and tidy that up. The panels are over at the bodywork place at the minute being prepped, and then they're going to go off to be wrapped. What colour we're going to wrap it yet, I'm not sure. I'm thinking lime green, Kawasaki green, or a sort of Lambo orange, something like that. But with the black wheels and the black gloss roll cage and various things like that. But let us know what you think in the comments, guys. I'd really appreciate what colour you think could look good with this. We're going to keep the front mudguards carbon, I think. As I say, the black wheels, black calipers. So yeah, let me know what colour you reckon. But I'm thinking something a bit Larry with our logo on the side, nice and neat, and yeah, that'll stand out nicely. But let me know what you think on that. So one other thing we've got going on here. This is if I just pull this out of the way, it's a TR4 block. down here that I've been working on today actually. Got several things, well, had several things to do on this TR4 engine. It's for a customer that we built various TR things for in the past. He's well into them. He does track days and what have you in one of them, and the engine's proper trick. But what this engine, this is his spare engine. It's going to be another competition engine that he's going to build himself, but he's just brought it all into the machine. So we've got the cylinder head, which we've unleaded. So that's got the hardened exhaust valve seats. Done that. The crank assembly, we've balanced. I've done that. The pistons and rods I've checked. I think that's most of it, but then we've got the block here, and he's gone for a chunkier liner. The liner internally measures 87 mil on this. Pistons are 89 mil, so there's obviously 2 mil to come out of the liners. But more importantly, what we have to do is, if I just get this block onto the floor quickly, show you. Right, there we go, that's got me sweating. So, these liners, as you can see, they butt up against each other on 1 and 2, 3 and 4. They sit, the bottom, obviously the diameter's narrow, it slides into the block down the bottom and seals about 2 inches up from the bottom into the liner. So it's in effect, it's a wet liner with a sort of top hat, and it seals down the base of the block. And obviously up the top it butts up here and sits nice and snug inside the block here. Now what we've had to do is, because the block face is not very good, I've had to end up taking 10 thou off this block face, which leaves the liners nice and proud then. They're probably about over 0.5 mil proud. Now what these liners, what they recommend, because I think this is using a copper gasket, so what they recommend is 3 to 5 thou of protrusion on these liners. So that just gives a nice bite for the gasket to sit in. Any more than that, and I like to run them on the lower end, sort of 3 thou. If you run them high end or over that, you then run the risk of it leaking around the edge of the block. Or leaking from the water jacket into the cylinder. So I normally like to run them around 3 thou. So obviously what we do there, we make sure it's nice and clean down the base of the block, obviously down there. So when the liner slides in, you get that nice metallic click as it seats down into the bottom of the block. Then we measure the liner in all 4 areas here, compared to the block face, and because although the block has been faced dead true to the base, you do get a little bit, when you measure it, you do get a little bit of rock on the liners. So we keep the liners nice and sturdy. We measure all 4 areas there, and we take an average. And these liners, as I say, to get the 3 thou, we've had to end up taking about 18, 19 thou off the liners. So that's what I've done. So we've now got got them all, as you can see, marked up the top. We've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. They're all sitting 3 thou, proud of this block face. I've wrote on there that I've removed 10 thou off the block face. So when the customer goes and does a dummy build on this engine, he knows that it's 10 thou lower now than it was before. Obviously he's going to have to do his piston protrusion and his compression ratio anyway, so he just wrote that on there for him to bear in mind. We've got a jig that clamps the liners down to the block face, so then we can set it up on the boring bar, as you see I've done, and I bored 2 mil out of those bores, and all I've got to do now is hone them. There's about 2 thou to come off, so we shall clamp those down again and finish hone it, and that's that job done. So yeah, as I say guys, I've had 10 days off, although we've had the other 2 guys in, really busy now. plenty of work coming in, and yeah, got loads of videos to come. So just thought I'd catch up with you guys and say thanks very much for holding on, and we'll see you again soon. Hopefully tomorrow we'll do another video on something, but yeah, thanks very much guys. Nice to see you again. Take care.